It was dripped in pitch and made of wood. Raw Vlog 27, welcome to it. Raw Vlogs are recorded live in front of a steering wheel on my way to getting my Friday morning coffee delivered straight from the camera to you, raw and unrefined. In today's Raw Vlog, we're gonna be answering some of your questions and doing our normal segments. So just jump right into it. Channel news. If you follow me on Instagram, you had the opportunity to ask me questions to be answered in Raw Vlog 27. I got a bunch of really good questions. Pretty much everything I got was good. So we are going to get to some of those. We're going to be saving some of those for later. I really am kind of digging these questions coming in, so I'm thinking we might just make this a regular thing. Let me know what you think. And if you, I will just jump into it. If you want me to talk about stuff, if you have questions, drop them in the comments and I will see about getting to them. Obviously, I probably won't be able to get to all of them, but you know, who knows? We'll either answer them in Raw Vlogs or they might actually turn into full-on videos. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, I'm Alan. This is the MTB Alan channel. New content, new mountain bike oriented content every Monday at 5 p.m. as well as these Raw Vlogs, which, as I said, are unedited. Other bit of channel news. I got back on the bike last Friday. I'm super stoked on that. The ride was definitely not anywhere near where I was at before, which, you know, that totally makes sense, but it was really good to be on the bike and to just be rolling around and pedaling. Felt good. We'll be having hopefully a video on that coming up this Monday. Really no other channel news. Point of curiosity, a couple of comments in the last Raw Vlog were around the Wilderness Act and all that kind of stuff, and I'm curious what you think about STC, Sustainable Trails Coalition. I don't know if you know any about that. If you don't, look it up. Tell me what you think about it. As I understand it, their main goal is to make it so that I guess mechanized, unpowered vehicles are not just outright banned in wilderness areas. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be just blanketly allowed. It means that those decisions can be made at a more local level. I think right now it's just kind of a federal thing that bikes, for instance, aren't allowed in wilderness areas. So let me know what you think about that. If you have any information on that. I know that they were trying to like pass that amendment to the Wilderness Act, but I don't know what's going on with it now. So love to hear your thoughts. Hit me up in the comments. Point of gratitude. Obviously, I'm really grateful to have gotten back on the bike and to ride. Don't know what else there is to say about that. So let's jump into your questions. Before we get into the questions, there were like a few questions in particular that I really dig. We're not going to get to them today because they will, I want to think about them a little bit more and kind of really give you good answers for those and give you a good discussion on it. But we are going to get to those. One of those was from Ryan, who I believe we met at the Path bike demo when we were hanging out with Aaron Gwynn. You asked me about how YouTube has affected my view of the internet. I think that's a rad question, and I have some initial thoughts, but I do kind of want to chew on that a little bit more. Andy, you asked me about the role of aging in mountain biking, and again, that's another one I want to think a little bit more about. There are a few like pretty quick fire answers or quick fire questions I can get to. We'll get to a couple of them today. We'll save a couple of them for later. The main thing we're going to get to today, which is mostly because it's pretty relevant to me in my current state, I believe Boy from the North Music and Faith Mata wanted to know about overcoming fear of, you know, obstacles, just fear on the trails, particularly after you crash. So we're going to talk about that today. A couple of quick fire ones. Owen, you were asking like, hey, if you see me on the trail and you want to say hi, what do? Say hi. I'm just a guy, just like anybody else on the trail. Feel free to say hi, unless I'm in the middle of trying to capture Loic Bruni coming through a rock garden. And even then say hi, I just might be like, and then go back to filming, so just say hi. And then spomroy asked about my full face helmet and does it breathe well enough? Do I reuse it all the time? I should say I mostly started to wear a full face helmet all the time because I film with the camera mounted on the chin. So, you know, I think I did the San Juan Trail, which is a pretty big climb, with the full face helmet. It breathes just fine, obviously not as well as an open face, but it did the job and it didn't really cause me any distress. The Fox Pro frame is super light. Love that helmet. I also tend to like crash on my face a lot, so there's definitely been times where I may had chosen to use an open face helmet, you know, if I hadn't been filming, and then I crashed, and the full face definitely saved my teeth. So I just tend to wear a full face all the time now, and I have no problem with it. Again, it depends on what type of riding you're doing, things like that. Yeah, so it's supposed to be a quick fire question, so we'll cut that off. So yeah, coming through fear, especially after a crash. So I think obviously we don't want to go into any kind of obstacle or do anything on our bikes where we are just mentally bound up or we're really freaked out. You don't want to do that. So if you're freaked out, don't do it. If it feels sketchy, it's probably sketchy. That being said, how do you step through that? How do you kind of reduce that anxiety? So I think a lot of it for me, and as a note, I'm not a riding coach. I only have so much experience, so please take anything I say with a grain of salt, and just know that I'm telling you my experience. But I have been a CrossFit coach, and I know that when it comes to like physical movement, physical activity, a lot of the times anxiety and fear is a lot of times caused by this feeling that you're kind of stepping into the void, that you just don't know what your body's going to do, or you don't know what's going to happen when you go into doing something. And so if we're thinking about that, going off of a jump, going off of a drop, or even through a rock garden, if you feel like you're going into it and you're just along for the ride, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know how your body's going to respond, you definitely don't want to do that. In order to get to the point where you will have that level of familiarity going into it, find something that is an approachable version of what you're trying to do. So let's say it's a drop, or yeah, we'll just say it's a drop. If it's a big 4-foot drop to like a steep landing, maybe find something that's a little bit smaller. And I know depending on your terrain that might be hard to find, but that's one way to do it. Let me jump back on that. Once you've identified that thing that you want to overcome, start looking for similar features, right? Because you might not notice that there's other features on the trail or other places you ride that has features that are similar to the one you're afraid of, and start seeing how similar they are. I experienced this with 650B. When I really decided I was gonna hit that jump, I started looking at every other jump I was doing and seeing how similar they were, and that really helped, so that when I was going off a 650B, I didn't feel like I was just stepping into the void. I already knew what to do with my bike, I knew what to do with my body. I also had enough confidence with my bike handling that I knew that if things went weird, I would be able to at least do some kind of correction, because I had done that with a lot of similar jumps. So if you're trying to go off a big drop, go to a smaller drop. If you're trying to get through a rock garden, you know, just be aware of generally going through rock gardens. Obviously, another thing you can do is stop and look at the feature and really, you know, start visualizing your path through that feature, over that feature, whatever. If you can watch other people doing it, that can help too. But I think it really is bound up in that feeling that you just don't know what's going to happen when you're going into that feature. So whatever you can do to feel like you have some kind of handle, some kind of feeling like what it may feel like, that'll help. And then a big part of it is also putting yourself mentally on the other side of that fear. That will it feel like for you to walk through that fear and end up on the other side, and what is success gonna feel like? So again, 650B, I did that with that. You know, I really started putting myself in the mindset of what is it gonna feel like after I go over the jump? How rad is that gonna feel? How stoked am I gonna be? You know, and I just kind of imagined hooting and hollering after doing that, the high fives, fist bumps, and all that stuff that would come afterwards. That really helps, because you know, again, why are we afraid of it? Because we're imagining that we're going to crash and burn going through that. So if that's where your head is at, of course you're going to be scared of it. So some sort of balance between familiarizing yourself with that type of feature, with that category of feature, and then making sure you know generally what it's going to feel like as you're going through that feature or off that feature, and then mentally putting yourself on the other side of it. What is success going to feel like? So yeah, I hope that helps. I'm really digging getting these questions from you. Yeah, so let's just kind of keep this rolling. Hope you dug this video. Hit the like button to let me know if you dug this video. Hit the comments with any questions, with stuff you want to hear about. And if you want to continue getting content from the MTB Allen channel, hit that subscribe button. Hope you dug it.